Hi everybody! In this video we are going to have a look at consonant clusters. What are they? Consonant clusters can be defined as a consonant sequence of two or more consonant sounds. Now, important is to remember that there is no vowel sound in between those consonants. Sometimes we also call them consonant compounds or consonant blends. All three terms refer to the same. I'm going to use the term consonant clusters for the rest of the video. Now here are some examples. For example, in the word tree, we have t and r at the start, forming a cluster, tree. Or in the next word, splash, we have s, p, l next to one another, forming the cluster spl, spl. So we could have a cluster consisting of two consonants or a cluster of three consonants at the start of a word. And if it's at the beginning of the word, we call it an initial consonant cluster. Of course, we could also have clusters at the end of words. Here are some examples. In the word looks, we have the cluster x at the end. In the word helped, we have the cluster lpt at the end. Remember that the ed spelling just forms one sound here, and it's t. Then we have the word texts, and here we have x, four consonants next to one another without a vowel in between. That is quite a difficult cluster to say, so I'll repeat: x, texts. So here we had examples of two consonant sounds, three consonant sounds, and four consonant sounds, all forming clusters at the end of a word. And if it's at the end, we call it a final consonant cluster. Now the question is, which clusters can be used? Can we just combine any consonants into clusters? No. We need to follow the rules of phonotactics. Now that is again a funny term. Phonotactics really means those are the rules that decide which clusters are allowed in a language, and that is for any language. Every language has their own rules, and the rules differ quite a lot. There are many languages that do not allow consonant clusters. They say no, there has to be a vowel in between, for example, Japanese or Hawaiian. But there are also many languages that love consonant clusters, like Slavic languages, Arabic, and also Spanish. We're going to have a look at phonotactics in English, and here the rule is that we have a maximum of 3 initial consonants and a maximum of 4 final consonant sounds. So we cannot have more. That is not allowed. We'd not be able to pronounce it. Now let's have a look at initial clusters first. And they are also sometimes called onset clusters because they are in the onset of the syllable. Here is a very common pattern. Often we have s plus another consonant. For example, st in stay, sk in sky, sm in small, sn in snack, sl in slow, or sf in sphere. I'll say them again, repeat them after me. Stay, sky, small, snack, slow, sphere. Very good. Here is another common pattern. We have a consonant and in second position the consonant r. For example, fr, friend, tr, tree, dr, dream, cr, cream, gr, grow, br, brown, thr, three, shri, shrimp. I put down the phonemic transcript for three and shrimp because it looks like three letters, but they only form two sounds. So I'll say the words again and repeat. Friend, tree, dream, cream, grow, brown, three, shrimp. Excellent. Here is another pattern for an initial consonant cluster, and the pattern is a consonant sound plus l. Let's have a look. Fl, fly, cl, cloud, gl, glow, bl, blue, pl, play, sl, slow. Excellent, very good. Now let's have a look at a longer initial consonant cluster. Here we have a very common pattern. The consonant cluster starts with the sound s and is followed by two other consonants. Listen and repeat. Spl, splash, spr, spring, str, strong, scr, scroll, squ, squirrel. Oh, the last one is a bit tricky. Squ, squirrel. Very good. Let's have a look at final consonant clusters next. And those are also often called coda clusters because they appear in the coda of the syllable. So here are some common final consonant clusters with two consonant sounds. Listen and repeat. Sk in ask, ask. St in last, last. Nt in went, went. Nd in round, round. X in books, books. Lp in help, help. Very good. Let's have a look at some longer ones. Here we have three consonants next to one another. Listen and repeat. Asks, asks. Lasts, lasts. Helped, helped. Lends, lends. Banks, banks. Sixth, sixth. Risks, risks. Filmed, filmed. Gifts, gifts. Facts, facts. Very good. Now you can see some of the words we actually had before where we only had two consonants, but now we've added another letter, often because the form of the word changed. Maybe it was a verb in the present simple, and now we added an S because it was used in the present simple for third person, or the verb has changed into the past simple, we added ed, therefore we added another sound, or it was a noun that was put into the plural by adding an S. So that often happens, and then of course those consonant clusters that were two sounds long are now three sounds long, and they can be a little bit difficult, so I would encourage you to practice them. Remember, it's just like going to the gym. It's unusual movement for your tongue, for your articulators, but the more you practice, the easier it will get and the faster you will get as well. So for example, sks, I know this is quite an effort actually to say, but you can practice and I promise it will become easier. So x is no problem, or st. You can say them very quickly. Now, finally, let's have a look at final consonant clusters with 4 consonants next to one another. There are not that many examples, they don't occur as often, but here are 3 words that you've probably heard before. First, we have the word text, but in the plural. So texts, texts. So it's x. I know it's quite sharp sounds, texts. And then of course we have the same cluster in the word contexts, contexts. So x. Practice this a few times. The last one is, I think, a little bit easier. And here we have the word attempts. Remember, the word attempt means try. So attempts, attempts. So mpts, attempts. Well done, you've come to the end of the practice in the video. If you want to practice more, remember I have a whole series of short videos on my channel with more consonant cluster practices, so make sure you check them out. And if you have any questions, leave me a comment below.